Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining myself, and I have one participant, my friend Dawn, in the room right now, and we're gonna just really go deep into some ideas that have been so dear to my heart, and the topic of A Course in Miracles, and specifically the teachings that I've learned from David Hoffmeister, where he's really demonstrated that it's possible to apply A Course in Miracles to your life without exception, to really just, take it all the way. And I think that a lot of Course in Miracles students, they recognize that that's possible, but there's just so much fear around it. There's so much fear of what will happen if I really give my mind over completely to this awakening, and be careless about the world, that there's often exceptions that are made. There's often ways in which the principles are not applied. They're, in certain areas. I remember hearing a funny story about that Ken Wapnick would tell in his seminars, where there was a group of nuns who were practicing A Course in Miracles, and they were practicing lesson 1, nothing I see means anything, and they were going around, I think they were in the sanctuary of their church, and looking at the pews and saying, those pews do not mean anything, and the stained glass window doesn't mean anything, and then they look at the Eucharist, or the statue of Christ, and we'll just skip that, and continue on, because there's certain things that the mind holds so sacred and beyond question, and for most people, it's not things, it's spiritual symbols, but it's also things like family, things like, or certain special relationships. Maybe our children, or our lover, or our parents, or our pet. There's certain things where we just feel like, I'd rather not question the value of those things. I really just want to keep those things kind of for myself, but I want to be at peace. And we all want to be at peace all the time. That's the goal. But it's actually impossible to be at peace all the time unless we have transferred the training of A Course in Miracles to everything in our life without exception. So I'm actually here in San Rafael, California, and my life has been pretty radical for the past several years, and where I've taken quite a few leaps of faith that the world would say were quite unique or radical, including leaving behind a career that was, very lucrative, and then just kind of trusting that I would be cared for as a traveling minstrel with my guitar, and then volunteering in David Hoffmeister's community, where I just had so many opportunities to practice the Course, to really apply it, because when you're living in close quarters with a lot of people who are also practicing the Course, it really flushes up the ego quickly. Everyone's mirrors to each other, and the deeper you go on this journey of forgiveness, the more in touch you become with your own inner darkness, and that can be quite frightening, quite startling, and quite shocking when you really see it, and you start to it can feel like a nightmare at times. And yet we have these amazing tools. The workbook of A Course in Miracles is like a 365 lesson meditation manual on how to look at these situations in our life that seem to be the cause of our upsets, and how to trace them back to the real cause, which is a decision in the mind, a decision to once again forget divine love. And so I think I titled this Google Hangout "Opening to Divine Love," because that's the experience that I'm really, inviting for myself, and wanting to extend. it's an experience where we don't really know anything anymore. It's so boring to know things. It's actually boring. It gets old. You can think about those parties where people just kind of talk about everything they think they know, and they're just sort of spouting off these intellectual concepts. And even in Course in Miracle groups, where people get together and they just talk about the core principles, but without a real deep, authentic awareness or experience of them, they're just ideals. They're just high concepts. And what my life is really about is beginning to just surrender all of it and have an experience of that divine love that's who we are. So yeah, and it's funny with Dawn here. We met in spiritual community when we were both volunteering there at the Living Miracles Metaphysical Center in Camas, Utah. That's one of the places where that's like kind of the hub where David Hoffmeister community has a lot of its volunteers and does a lot of the internet ministry from. And yeah, we just really resonated and connected, and have stayed in contact ever since. And it was quite an intense experience. Maybe if you feel to, Don, you can turn your microphone on and share a little bit about what that experience was like, and really just how it's, just the idea of using everything for forgiveness, how it can be so intense, like I was just saying a minute ago, of when you start to be put in close quarters with others who are also trying their best to be authentic. And in community, there's a couple guidelines that we follow, which is no private thoughts and no people pleasing. Those are just these guidelines that David was given by Spirit years and years ago, and which they have been very, very helpful in spiritual community, but not always comfortable, because everyone's just going to be as authentic as they can and share their private thoughts, which, private thoughts really means ego thoughts. So when everybody's just sharing their ego thoughts and being as authentic as they can, it definitely doesn't please the person. So I don't know if you have anything you want to share about your experience of that, Dawn, but maybe you can enlighten us with what that's been like for you.
So the topic is opening to love.
Yeah.
Right? Divine love.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason for going.
Yeah.
The whole reason I wanted to take this was to go deeper with God. And I got that. I got to see firsthand what it's like to be with people that hold you in presence. And that I have some treasured memories of the most unconditional love I've ever experienced in my life. And it was very powerful. Getting a lot of feedback on this side.
Oh, really?
Do you have any suggestions? Like I could totally hear myself. It's like weirding out.
Oh, it's feeding back from. Oh, it's probably.
Yeah.
I can mute my microphone, and that'll probably help while you're sharing.
Yeah. Okay, let me try. Yeah, that's perfect. Because it's weird when I hear my own voice. So for me, opening to divine love has been it. Like I remember before we went, and I was signing up to see if I was even qualified to go, because you do have to sign up and do the application, and there's a whole big process when you do want to live in community. And before they came, the quantum love came through. I think it was in Tarpon Springs, and that's when I just felt this yes, absolute yes for God, and I wanted to go deeper. And boy, it does. This whole journey, I don't think a lot of people share how much darkness gets brought up, but for me, that's been my experience. A lot of darkness got brought up, and I'm still, things get flushed up daily. And every time you get through it and you get to the other side of it, you get like, it feels from my experience like I feel God even deeper than before. And it's really powerful.
Yeah, I wanted to. That's it. I mean, that's really it. It's like we don't want to stay in a comfort zone anymore. We don't want to just be feeling okay. We want. I mean, it's not comfortable to go through the darkness, but it's the only way that we're going to come into the light. And yeah, it seems to take a lot of faith. It takes a lot of faith, and it's really a journey of diving into the unknown. The ideas are so radical. Like A Course in Miracles is so radical. It's basically saying that this whole world is made up, and that the world is not valuable. It has no value whatsoever. There's a line in the Course where Jesus says, the only value this world holds for you is that you pass it by, which is kind of like saying it has no value. You just pass it by. It's just like a meaningless object or a meaningless image that seemed to have value. It seemed to serve a purpose. And when you really look in the metaphysics of A Course, it's kind of shocking. Like, so I made this whole world up as a defense against divine love. Not that this world came from divine love, which a lot of other spiritualities teach, that God made the world, or that even in non-dual teachings, a lot of traditional non-dual teachings like Advaita Vedanta, there's still this sense that God created the world, or that oneness, or that all that is made, somehow the duality came from the oneness. Some of these religions say that that God was bored and that he wanted to experience himself, so he made up the world and made up multiplicity and duality in order to experience himself through separate parts. But the Course is not teaching that. The Course is very unique. It's actually saying that no, this world has nothing to do with God at all. God doesn't even know of this world, and that it's really not valuable. It doesn't hold any value to us. The only value that it can serve for us is if we use it for forgiveness, which means that we see that whatever seems to be the cause, whenever we seem to be upset, we can remember that whatever is out there that seems to be producing the upset within us, whether it's other people, which it usually is, or the weather, or whatever it is, that we can use that as an opportunity to trace the upset back into our own mind, and just be open to the correction, be open to being corrected, and the rubber really hits the road when you're in spiritual community, because you get corrected a lot, and it seems to be from other people. But what we're coming to is that we want to see that we have never been right about anything, and that thinking that we're right about anything, even about the color of our shirt, if I think that I know what color this shirt is, even that is as basic, as seemingly basic and tiny as that assumption is, that this is a blue shirt with white lettering, that even that thought is keeping me from divine love. And I don't want to hold on to anything. I really want to have a clear mind that is pristine and quiet and just full of what actually is true and real. So yeah, that's great to hear about your experiences of, it was so intense, and I know many people have had the experience. I was married to Armel, who watched YouTubes with and connected with, and I know you guys did some Google Hangouts together as well. And I think that the resonance is there because she had such a similar experience as well of the intensity of the darkness, and how horrifying it can seem to be. But then if we're willing and we just hang with it, we're willing to go through that and trust that there is light on the other side, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, I remember when we were married, it was like living with Jekyll and Hyde sometimes with her. I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but like the lows were so low sometimes where she felt just, very, very upset. And then when she was happy, it was so happy. It was like exploding with joy. I remember you and I talked the other day, and you were saying the same thing, how like your heart just felt like it was bursting. You were just having all this joy from all these miracles that had been happening in your life, and yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about that. But it seems like we have to kind of go through the rough patches to keep having those experiences, and not get stuck on thinking that the joy is happening because of anything in the world. Even with things that seem to happen as symbols of love, where we seem to get like someone comes into our life as a symbol of love, or we get the money that we need for something, or someone sends us a beautiful letter on Facebook and just fills our heart with love. It's important to realize that the love isn't really coming from those things that seem to happen, but it's still a decision in mind that we've just allowed our mind to open up to divine love for a moment, and then it gets reflected back in the dream. So, yeah, it's good to just sink into that awareness. It's the power is in our mind. We have the power. We have all the power. There isn't any power in the world, and that's so empowering to see that we're not at the mercy ever of anything, of like the good things or the bad things. It's all the same. The things that seem to hurt us or the things that seem to help us in the world aren't really the things that are hurting us or helping us. They just are reflections of the decisions we make on a moment-to-moment basis to either align with divine love or with the ego. And that's always the only choice we're ever making. So with David Hoffmeister, I just feel like I'm just so grateful for the symbol of him in my life. And I mean, I remember when I first studied the Course back in 2003, it was, it just blew my mind wide open. I remember finding the disappearance of the universe first, and that, reading that just blew my mind. It just gave me so much hope. It was like, okay, now I have a path. Now I know that now I know there's no more questions. It was like up to that point I still had all these questions about, why would God create a world that is so filled with conflict? And then after that, reading that book, it was like, oh, okay, now I don't have to ask that question anymore, because God didn't create this world. And it took a while to get to the point where my mind was ready to go beyond the intellect, because initially it was a very intellectual process. It was perfect, because that's exactly what I needed, and that's what the Course was designed to do. It was designed to meet people where they are, which is usually caught up in their intellect, and then guide them to a point where they suddenly realize that the only way they can actually be happy is to go all the way inward, to go through the heart, and to open up to a deep, authentic experience that is empty of all thinking, empty of all concepts. And I remember listening to David in the early days. It was kind of frustrating for me in the beginning, because he's always speaking on this level that would like I would feel the love behind it, but my intellect would be really frustrated because he never seemed to answer questions directly, or at least in the way that that my intellect wanted them to be answered. I think one of the first times I met him was at a Course in Miracles conference, one of those big conferences they have in these two guys in San Francisco, Tony and Larry. I think Larry passed, but Tony, I think his last name is Ponticello or something. He still puts on these big Course in Miracles conferences every year now. I think before it was just every 2 years, but where he invites hundreds of Course in Miracles students and teachers to come, and it's this big weekend event. And I was there listening. David was one of the speakers, and I finally, worked up the courage to ask him some question about the script is written. Like, well, if the script is written, then what about, does that mean that all the events are predetermined, or do I still have any choice regarding, does the script change if I choose to forgive instead of judge? I mean, doesn't that kind of change the script? And I remember he gave me this answer that just it came from such a deep place that it kind of undid the question. All I could do was just sort of follow him, but I remember feeling as if my mind was kind of dissolving, like my brain was melting or something while I was listening to him. And I think it's that way for a lot of people, especially when they're really caught in the intellect and trying to understand things, which I definitely was trying to do. I didn't know it. I thought I was interested in real inner peace, but really I was more interested in having an intellectual model that I thought would be perfect. I thought that would give me peace. So yeah, he's just been someone that's really demonstrated and proved that it's possible to be happy and not be concerned about anything of this world, not be concerned about people, not be concerned about health, not be concerned about the environment, not be concerned about politics, to really see beyond the veil and know that our reality is not in this world, that even the idea that we've incarnated into this world, even that it's not the actuality of things. Just like in a dream we have at night, it's not like we've incarnated into the dream, although it seems like we're really in the dream, like we've become the body, the dream body, but it's still in the mind that's dreaming, and that's where the power is. So yeah, I'm just feeling to pause for a moment, and maybe a song will come through. I brought my guitar here, and I actually had this song coming to me earlier. I went on a walk with my friend Ike, and he's going through quite an undoing himself, where he's just noticing all the ego's judgments and getting the ego getting quite vicious and beginning to really just call out for help in his mind, and seeing that everything is a thought, that everything that is perceived in this linear world is really just a thought, including people. And I wrote this song several years ago, where actually I feel like it just came through me, but that was one of the first lines that's the first line in the song, is everyone I see is a thought. It's a thought of what I used to believe, meaning that the idea of separation, the idea of that we can actually be apart from each other, that our reality can have a dividing line where my body ends and yours begins, that can actually be the truth of things, is a past belief. It's over. For all of us, it's over. We can seem to hang on to it. We can seem to pretend that it still is real, but it's already been corrected. And so I'm going to take out the headphones here, because the microphone will be better without them. And this song, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but it's not coming to me, so it'll probably come to me after the song.
It's only me.
No, it's not that one.
It's
That's a
not
good
that
one
one?
too. But this one is. It's another song. I put it on my CD, but it'll it'll come to me. Oh, if not now, then when? That's what it's called. Yeah, it's if not now, then when.
I was listening to that just yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe you were the one that I thought of it today, and I think you mentioned it to me yesterday too. So it's been coming in. So here it is. Everyone I see is a thought of what I used to believe. I thought I was alone and separate, till you told me it was just a dream. And it takes no time if I want to see it. If I want to stop feeling this pain, I don't have to keep on falling over. If I just let you in my heart again. And if not now, then when? I thought I was a symbol of shame when I forgot your name. I thought I was alone and different, till you told me that I'm still the same. And it takes no time if I want to hear it. If I want to stop feeling this pain, I don't have to keep on falling over. If I just let you in my heart again. And if not now, then when? If not now, what then? I know the pain will never end if I don't let you in my heart again. So if not now, then when? If not now, what then? I know I'll finally be at peace when I just let you in my heart again. So if not now, then when? And it takes no time if I want to see it. If I want to stop feeling this pain, I don't have to keep on falling over. If I just let you in my heart again. And if not now, then when? If not now, then when? Yeah, I love how I was asked today by Ike. He said, have you been writing any more songs? And I said, no, I haven't. It's funny, I haven't written a new song in maybe 3 years, I think. And, it's been quite a while. But, and I used to be kind of, concerned about that. Like, am I blocking the Spirit from coming through? Or is there something wrong? But I just feel like the songs I've been given are enough. They're just for me. They're really just to keep going deeper, keep reminding myself, keep hearing them and sharing them to reinforce these ideas. And if I need more songs, then they'll come. But what I have in them now is enough. Yeah, and there's so many other beautiful songs that I've learned over the years and heard over the years from famous artists like the Beatles or Cat Stevens, or All You Need Is Love, and all these great classic rock songs that have just been resonating so deeply for years and years and years, and now I hear them in a whole new light. I hear them and go, wow, it was the Holy Spirit singing through these different people, and it doesn't matter, whether they seem to be aware of it being the Holy Spirit or not. It's all one mind, and it's all either divine love singing through us or the ego, and really we can actually listen to any song. I've actually discovered that even songs that seem very egoic, songs that seem to be very much about the special relationship, like oh, I can't live without you, and please don't leave me, and those kind of themes, that even in those songs, if you just reinterpret it as if you're singing to God, that we can't live without God, and please don't leave me, it's like the Spirit saying, don't leave my mind. You don't want to. Not that God is jealous, not that God actually is aware of when we leave the mind, but the Holy Spirit can just gently say to us, you don't want to do that. It's not going to be fun. You don't really enjoy being off on your own, thinking that you're this adult who's in charge of his or her life and running things. That's not happiness. That's why Jesus in the Bible said, be as little children. Unless you be as little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Because little children, they're not trying to depend on themselves. They ask a lot of questions, they're very dependent on their parents, and they don't think they already know everything. And so they're happy a lot of the time. But it's even deeper than that. It's not really about trying to be like a child. It's really just being willing to not depend on ourselves for anything, for knowing what we should do. There's just so much conditioning in the mind about everything that we think will keep us safe, and how much money we think we need, and having the right friends, and having the right connections, and working in the right job, or even ideas around what kind of work will bring us fulfillment. I like this kind of work, but I don't like to do that. All of it needs to be questioned. All of it needs to be questioned. Because we truly, like one of the lessons in the Course says, I do not perceive my own best interests. I cannot perceive my own best interests. I'm completely blinded by a belief system that is just covering my eyes with falsity. And it's impossible to really know what will bring me happiness in every moment. And in truth, nothing in this world brings me happiness. The only thing that does bring me happiness is following the Spirit, is being willing to be guided. And guidance is a topic that's quite controversial, actually, in many Course in Miracles circles. In fact, for myself, I really didn't like the idea of guidance when I first was starting to immerse deeper in the teachings that David was sharing, because to me it felt like, well, that's on the level of form. That's on the level of that's kind of on the level of what I do, and I was opening to this idea that it really doesn't matter what I do, that ultimately you can't really do good or do bad and make good decisions in form or bad decisions in form. But what I was starting to be taught, and initially it was through my friend Jason Warwick, who was one of David's teachers, one of the messengers of peace, was that guidance is actually a means for undoing the ego very, very directly, because it helps us loosen from doing the things that we think we should do, or that our ego is telling us to do, and being open to see that we don't actually know what our best interest is. Until we've actually come to the full experience that I have no idea of what makes me happy, then I'm going to keep making decisions based on what I think brought me happiness in the past. I'm going to keep trying to repeat past decisions that I think brought me happiness then, and it won't work. It'll never work to try to repeat the past. But what will work is when the mind is humble, and when I'm saying, okay, I'm just like a child, I want to take your hand and I want you to tell me what to do. And so every day we want to make no decisions for ourselves. We want to practice getting up in the morning and being clueless, even though it seems like even if we have a job or we have a certain routine that we follow, the Spirit's not just going to rip that away. It's for most people, the curriculum is very gradual and it's very gentle, and the Spirit's not just going to say, okay, I want you to leave everything and you're going to go and become a hermit, or you're going to start to be like Peace Pilgrim and just walk across the country. Usually the curriculum is very, very gradual, and we just want to start to just notice the subtleties of when we are feeling an intuition to do something different than how we would normally do things. And it might be just something around maybe cooking. Maybe we have a certain way of cooking a certain meal, and we think, oh yeah, that's going to be good, I'll just do what I normally do and cook this meal. And the Spirit may say, hey, let's have some fun and experiment, and I will give you guidance on how to cook this meal with me, and you'll be amazed at how much you enjoy it more. Not really because the flavor is going to be better, but because you've followed me, and because you're just experiencing so much love that everything will just taste good. You'll just be in a state of glory. I remember hearing about David Hoffmeister when he was initially starting to travel. He just was guided to leave he had a little peace house in Cincinnati, and he had a little car, and he was guided in 1991 to start traveling across the country. And he would do this on various trips where he'd go out and he just didn't really know where he was going. He would be guided to course groups, and he would be guided to meet people along the way and stay with people. And from night to night, not even knowing where he was going to sleep sometimes. And on one of these trips, he was traveling with a girlfriend, and they stayed at a motel one night. And the original guidance he had received was to just go west. So he was traveling from Cincinnati. He was traveling west towards what he thought would end up in California. He was excited about because California was something. It was a symbol of expansiveness and open-mindedness, and he basically heard the Spirit tell him that the destination, because David said, well, where is this all leading? Where are we going? And the Spirit said, well, I am the destination, and I will tell you moment by moment which way to go. So, he wasn't given like a roadmap. He wasn't given a plan, but he was told to go west initially, and then one night he was staying in the motel with his girlfriend, and when the morning came and it was time to get in the car and continue driving, he heard the Spirit telling him in his mind, go east. And it just sounded so absurd, because they had just driven for like hundreds of miles across all these cornfields, and I don't know what they were in, some, the middle of Nebraska, I don't know, some state west of Cincinnati, and had just been driving, and then all of a sudden the Spirit's telling him to go back in the opposite direction, back to where he came from, and it just sounded absurd, and he was terrified to even share the guidance with his girlfriend, for fear that she would just think, oh, you're crazy, this is over, this relationship is done. So he got in the car, he kept giving it over to Spirit, saying, if this is really the guidance, then you got to make it really obvious, because this doesn't sound good. This seems a little radical. And so they got in the car. They started pulling out of the motel. They pulled up to the stoplight, where they finally got to the stoplight where you have to make the decision of which way you're going to go on the freeway. And he looked at his girlfriend and said, are you hearing any guidance? And she just burst out with tons of joy, go east. And it was, okay, confirmation. So they got on the freeway going east, and they felt like it was the happiest moment, just not because of anything that it would mean or where it would lead. It was just because of following the guidance and feeling it together. There was a recognition, there was a joy. And that's what I've been just seeing over and over and over again, is I don't have to know where the guidance is going to lead me, but it's just in following the guidance now that is joyful, because it means that my mind is choosing divine love instead of listening to the ego. So that's the practice. That's really what the practice of the Course is. It is about practicing forgiveness. It is about looking at judgments. It is about tracing them back. But on a really basic practical level, we can just apply the idea of guidance by just saying, okay, I give my life over to you. I give this day over to you. I don't know what's truly going to serve my awakening, and I don't want anything other than peace of mind. So I'm open. And of course, we also want to share our fears with the Spirit. Like, I'm afraid a little bit though, Spirit, because I have some things planned today that I really think I need to do. So, can we fit that in? I'm open if it's not helpful, but these are my fears, and the Spirit's just so loving and so gentle. The Spirit's gonna do everything it can to guide us, out of the fear, and not exacerbate it with unnecessarily. So it's always a very gradual undoing. And I just thought of another song that came to me that Armel actually wrote. I remember we were living up in Petaluma at my parents' house for a period of time while we were still married, and she had this song come through her that's called I Give My Life Over to You, which is what I was just talking about. And it's, I'll just play it. It's a really beautiful, beautiful song about surrendering. You might hear a squeak in the background. That's Cooper, the dog that I'm watching for my friend Jen. He's playing with his little toys over there, running around, very excited. Okay. I give my life over to you. I give my life over to you. 'Cause I don't know what anything is for. I don't know. And I don't know what's best for me. I don't I don't know. I don't know. And so I give my life over to you. I give my life over to you. 'Cause I don't know what anything means. I don't know. And I don't need to know. I don't know. I don't know. 'Cause I don't know, but you do. No, I don't know, but you do. And so I want you to guide me. I want you to teach me. I want you to lead me. I want you to show me. 'Cause I don't know, but you do. No, I don't know, but you do. No, I don't know, but you do. So I give my life over to you. Give my life over to you. 'Cause I don't know what anything is for. I don't know. And I don't know what's best for me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't need to know. Well, I kind of feel complete. Feels like emptiness, divine emptiness has dawned on the mind. Yeah, do you have anything that you feel to share before we close?
I do actually. So the whole topic tonight was opening to love, but the main theme it seemed to be was guidance, which I think is super radical. I mean, one of the things that with mystical mind training, the program with you guys, that really opened me up to first being able to hear the Holy Spirit, and it's amazing. That's where the peace of mind comes from, is listening and following, and as all the blocks to the awareness of love, it gets dissolved. You just hear it even more clearer every day. And so like just a couple days ago, I was on the stationary bike and it was just so boring. I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, this can't be it. Okay. And it just felt so blah. And I was like, I just asked him, the way I hear Holy Spirit is like literally I hear him in my head, and it's like a conversation we're having. And so I asked him, what about a walk? And it was like a very peaceful, and that's another way I know that I'm hearing guidance is I'll really feel peaceful about it, or there'll be like joy or feel real lit up. And so I go on this walk, and it's just the weather is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Like I look up into the sky, and I see this hawk. And that's very rare to see a hawk flying. And it like guides me. And I'm asking Holy Spirit, just lead me. Just lead me on a walk, and just kind of like, let's go for a walk together. Let's go on you know, like spending time together. And all of a sudden, I had the idea that there was a meditation spot that he had for me to show me. And so I just literally, like David said in the video where he's like, okay, it's like God, Holy Spirit will literally tell you, go left or go right or go straight. And so for me, it was like, I actually heard, go left. So I turn and look, and there's this big alleyway. It's like nature, all this greenery, trees, so beautiful. And I never noticed it before. Seen it before. So I go and I walk, and I mean, the trees are different. It's like they're literally glowing, and everything's so fresh and beautiful. And there's a stream there. Just like I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Maybe you can post a link or somewhere, or maybe I'll post a link. But that trust video with Kirsten and David Hoffmeister, the meditation CD with the trust. Well, how they describe the scenery. This is like what it was with the butterflies and the stream and everything. And this place is right by my house, and I didn't even know it existed. And so finally I was like, okay. And then I felt to keep going, and he guides me to the spot. And I'm telling you, I was blown away. I was like, I couldn't believe it. He sat me next, and I had a perfect spot to sit, to look at this stream, this bubbling brook, and there were trees everywhere, and you could see how the stream was winding, and butterflies showed up. There were little tiny sparrows. The hawk was still flying above, and a little bumblebees dancing on the flowers. It was just like it was like, what? And literally I was like, this is like a glimpse of heaven, right? Because it says in the Course in Miracles that, yeah, this is an illusion, but it also says before you go all the way, you're going to see the real world. So by listening and following, I really get in the glimpse. And I just stayed there, and it was so beautiful. And literally my ego, because there was so much love and so much peace and so much joy I was feeling in this environment, just seeing all this beauty. I know it's a reflection of my mind, right? Because I'm listening and following. And my ego couldn't take it. And my ego says, oh, it's just so beautiful. I can't take it. I can't handle it. And literally I stopped myself because I caught it, and I was like, oh, that's ego. That's ego saying that. And because I could feel my energy and my whole everything plummeting. My peace was like, with that thought, it was like trying to go away. But then when I was like, no, I'm not buying into that. I'm not going to believe that. So that's when I said, no, I can handle this. I can handle this much beauty. I can handle this. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. And that's the gift. The opening to divine love is opening to believing in the possibility. And that's what I feel like my gift I want to give to others, that's been given to me, because it says in the Course in Miracles, you've been giving gifts and now it's time to share them. I have been giving the gift that I can actually hear. And the following, I know it's Holy Spirit, because the miracles that follow, the joy that follows, and just this lit up passion where I just know, I know he's real. And I don't have to be convinced because I feel it from within, And so that was such a symbol for me of opening to divine love, because in that, it's like the beloved is right there. I mean, literally in the trees. I mean, and if I could just describe to you the way everything was lit up with light. I mean, the way the water was sparkling, the little bubbles that would come on the water and the way it would just sow. And then like these little rocks that were, I swear, this one rock literally looked like it had 100 diamonds embedded in it. I kid you not. It was so lit up. And then on the way back home, it was a pretty long walk. It was like a 40-minute walk. And so on the way back, I'm like so high and feeling God. It's just like amazing. And like, I looked down at a piece, there was litter. There was litter on the ground. I kid you not. Never before have I seen, oh my God, the garbage glittered. It was like, I know it sounds crazy. I know someone's going to listen and they're going to be like, what? But seriously, the way it was lit up, it was like it didn't even look. Somehow God even made that look beautiful. I don't know how, but that's the miracle.
Yeah.
When we see through the eye, and it talks about that in the Course in Miracles, it talks about the true vision, seeing with the eyes of Christ, seeing how we're, with real vision. And I feel like this third time around with the Course in Miracles, yeah, that's it. Once we get the true vision, we literally can see even a piece of garbage as the light.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
everything
then it's
is,
just like, then like your song, heaven is perfect, heaven is here right now, because it is. And then like we have nowhere to go but here. We're home, and it's now, it's here, and that's where the opening to love is, because we know we're that, and we share it. And I share the story because for me it was an experience of love, of joy, of literally saying, okay, God, guide me. If I go left, it's because you told me to go left. If I go straight, it's because you told me to go straight. If I go right, it's because you told me to go right. And I
yeah,
love that you told that story about David, because whenever that comes up, I think of David. I think of that. I think of that moment where he's like, okay, Holy Spirit, left or right. And it can be that simple.
yeah, and it can be
That's why I'm
radical.
learning. And no excitement. Like, I just feel like it can jump out of my skin. It's just so simple once you get it. I mean, it does take, and I have to admit, I've been through a lot of darkness, but there is another side. Once you go through that ring of fire,
Yeah,
purification.
yeah, yeah. It
I
really
think that's how
takes
we
a,
open to divine love. We do have to welcome the purification.
yeah, yeah,
Bring it on.
yeah,
So yeah, thank you for letting me share that.
yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Those experiences are just so important. I mean, they're so important to nurture and to reinforce and to just that they just keep they give us a glimpse. They give us a glimpse of what heaven can feel like, of what we're heading into. God's love is so amazing. I remember before I was into the Course and I started having these mystical experiences in college where a lot of them seem to be drug induced, actually, with trying mushrooms or whatnot. But it was helpful. I don't think I would have been able to accept the amount of love that I was feeling and the profound mystical vision that I seemed to be experiencing if it came without the drug. It was like the drug was an excuse to it was like my mind needed the drug as an excuse to say, okay, I'm on drugs, so it's okay, it's normal to experience this much love right now, and to just have a mystical experience. And I think for many that's like we need those kind of experiences, however whether it's through a drug or whether it's just like when you get into the Course and you start really applying the principles and saying, guide me, then it becomes natural. Like we expect it. We start to learn that it's normal. And even though other people will tell us that's weird, that sounds crazy, like you were thinking that garbage looked beautiful. I mean, come on, that's a little insane, don't you think? But yeah, we're just learning to see that miracles are natural, and that is actually how we're meant to experience life all the time. We're meant to be so happy that it's just bursting. Our heart just is exploding with joy, and it's really possible. It's really possible. And yeah, I feel like it just takes a real willingness to go through whatever we need to go through. Like you said, bring it on. That's a lot of people will say, whoa, don't say bring it on to the Holy Spirit. But I say bring it on too. I join you in that. Bring it on. I want to go through the darkness as quickly as possible, and I just want to have a mind that is pristine and happy and just full of light and nothing but light. And so I'm willing to go through whatever it takes to come to that experience. So I really appreciate your story, and I feel like sharing those kind of miracles, those kind of experiences that people can relate to is really, really important. It's really important to just as a witness for what's possible, and to know that it gives people hope. It lets them know that, wow, like I can have happiness, and it's okay, and it's not weird, it's not abnormal, I'm not going crazy. Mystical experiences are actually natural experiences, and that's what we want to experience and know for ourselves. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me in this call, and it looks like we have a few people who are watching on the outside, and I'm sure people will check it out on YouTube as well. I'm really grateful. This has been, actually this is the first Google Hangout I've done in quite a long time. I did them years ago when I was married to Armel, and I just started feeling it coming in stronger and stronger the last few days, and there's been so much ego resistance to it, so many doubt thoughts about whether this was just my ego trying to, kind of put myself in the limelight and get attention, and what's this really for? And I kept feeling it so strongly, though. It was like I couldn't fight it anymore, and I'm really grateful. This has been just so happy. I just feel so happy right now, having had this experience and just letting the Spirit just rip through like this and sharing the music. So I've got one planned again for tomorrow. I think it's at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And then if any of you who are watching are in the Bay Area, California, I'm actually going to be doing a gathering here in San Rafael on Valentine's evening, which, some of you may have dates that you're on and whatnot, but I felt inspired to offer an alternative for those who really want to use the day in purpose and really look. I titled the gathering The Special Relationship. So it'll be an opportunity to really look at the special relationship and just have an experience of transcending that and saying that we don't have to be run by any guilt or senses of obligation that can often come up around Valentine's Day, where we feel like we have to impress our partners or anything like that. So I look forward to connecting with you again, Dawn, and I know we'll probably do more of these Google Hangouts together, and connecting with all of you. You can find out about when events are going to be happening. I'm going to be posting all the events on my new website that I just created about a month ago, which is acimmusic.org. So acimmusic.org. So thanks for watching, and lots of love to you. Many miracles.